Picture this. Thursday evening around 7:47 p.m. and Jack is scrolling through Instagram after a really brutal day at work. An ad pops up on his screen. Flash sale. 70% off. Ends in 3 hours. It's a gaming keyboard and it's the same one he looked at a few months back. His heart starts racing and that timer is ticking down with those red numbers flashing. He clicks it. Adds it to cart. Types in the coupon code. Enters his card details. Order confirmed. The dopamine rush feels absolutely incredible. But that feeling lasts for exactly 12 minutes. Then Jack opens up his banking app and reality just hits him like a freight train. This was his third flash sale purchase this week. Let me show you what happened. So on Monday he bought a limited edition sneaker drop for $125. Tuesday he grabbed an exclusive pre-order tech gadget bundle for $89. And tonight he just spent $174 on that gaming keyboard. Total damage for the week comes out to $388. Now here's the part that really stings. Jack had been saving up for a professional certification course and this thing could actually boost his career in a major way. The course costs $450. He was just $62 away from his goal. $62. But now he's starting over and he's basically back to zero. And you want to know something funny about that gaming keyboard he just bought? 2 weeks later it's still sitting in the box completely unopened. Now Jack isn't some reckless person with money and he's definitely not financially illiterate. The guy has a budget spreadsheet and he reads financial advice blogs regularly. But he fell into something that's trapping millions of people every single day all around the world. It's called the impulsive buying trap. Today we're breaking down exactly how this trap works and more importantly how Jack actually escaped it. I'm Finn, and today we're analyzing impulsive buying through different parameters. Let's get into it. When Jack told his friend about this, the response was predictable. You just need more self-control. But that's like telling someone drowning to just swim better. The problem isn't Jack's willpower. That countdown timer? That's artificial scarcity. Manufactured urgency. Only 3 left in stock? Often algorithmically generated. Fake. Jack was fighting a multi-billion-dollar industry armed with behavioral psychologists, AI-powered recommendation engines, and neurological research on decision fatigue. He was fighting this alone, after a 9-hour workday, with an exhausted brain. He never stood a chance. But here's where it gets interesting. So Jack analyzed his own behavior through 7 different patterns. What he discovered changed everything. Pattern 1, the emotional deficit index. Most people think impulsive buying is about wanting things. Wrong. It's about filling emotional holes. Jack didn't want that keyboard. He wanted the reward after a hard day. A sense of control. Social validation from his gaming community. Escape from work stress. He tracked his purchases, but not what he bought. He tracked the emotion 10 minutes before, what problem he thought it would solve, and what he was avoiding. After 2 weeks, a pattern emerged. 80% of his impulsive purchases happened within 30 minutes of a difficult work meeting or frustrating coding session. 80%. He wasn't buying products. He was buying relief from work frustration. And that keyboard? Did nothing to solve his actual problem. The stress was still there the next morning. Once Jack saw this pattern, he couldn't unsee it. Pattern number 2 is the decision depletion quotient. You actually have a finite number of good decisions that you can make per day. Every single choice you make drains your decision-making reserve. Which task should I tackle first? How do I solve this bug in the code? What should I eat for lunch? How do I respond to that client email? Should I hit the gym or just go straight home? By the time evening rolls around, your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical rational part of your brain, is completely exhausted. That's when your limbic system takes over, and that's your emotional brain, or the primitive part. Your emotional brain sees the word sale and it basically hears survive, acquire this thing right now. Jack mapped out his purchase times against his daily decision load and the results were actually shocking. He never bought anything impulsively before 10 in the morning. Not even once. His danger zone turned out to be 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., and that's after he'd already made over 100 decisions at work. So he implemented a really simple rule for himself. I can only buy non-essential items between 8 and 11 a.m. on weekends. That's it, and it's such a simple rule, but it actually worked. Because at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, when he has a fresh, well-rested brain, that gaming keyboard suddenly doesn't seem so urgent anymore. The artificial scarcity tactics just stopped working on him. Pattern number 3 is what I call hedonic adaptation velocity. Remember that gaming keyboard that Jack was so excited about for 12 minutes? That's something psychologists call hedonic adaptation. It's basically your brain's tendency to return to baseline happiness no matter what positive changes happen in your life. You get a promotion at work and you're happy for a few weeks, but then it just becomes your new normal. You buy a new gaming setup and it's exciting for maybe a month, but then it's just where you play your games. But here's the twist that Jack discovered, and this is really important. The speed at which your excitement fades is inversely proportional to how impulsively you bought the thing. So things that you save for and anticipate buying? The dopamine hit from those lasts for weeks. But things that you impulsively buy? That dopamine rush only lasts for minutes. Jack created what he called a satisfaction half-life log. He would rate his excitement immediately after each purchase on a scale of 1 to 10. Then he'd rate it again after 1 day, then 1 week, then 1 month. His impulsive purchases had an average satisfaction half-life of just 1.8 days. But his planned purchases? 28 days. Let me break down that math for you real quick. His impulsive buys were giving him 6.67% of the lasting satisfaction per dollar compared to his planned purchases. He was literally wasting 93% of his happiness potential. That gaming keyboard that gave him 12 minutes of joy. If he had actually saved for it and anticipated buying it and really thought about whether he wanted it, then that exact same purchase could have given him weeks of satisfaction. Same amount of money, but 15 times the happiness. Pattern number 4 is the identity purchase misalignment score, and this one's pretty uncomfortable, but it's absolutely crucial. Jack asked himself 2 really simple questions. Who do I think I am? And then who do I buy like? He saw himself as a focused developer who's building toward career independence. But when he looked at his purchase history, it was screaming something completely different. It said he was a person seeking instant gratification through trending gear and status symbols. This kind of dissonance between who you are and how you spend creates a lot of shame. That shame creates stress in your life. And that stress triggers even more impulsive buying. It's a vicious cycle that just feeds itself. So Jack did an audit of his own spending. He wrote down 5 identity statements about himself and money. Then he went back and analyzed his last 20 purchases. He calculated what percentage of those purchases actually aligned with who he said he was. His score came out to 19%. 19%. He was being himself less than a fifth of the time when he was spending money. So he created a new rule for himself. Before any purchase, he would ask, would the person I'm trying to become make this purchase right now? That gaming keyboard? The answer was immediately no. The certification course? Absolutely yes. A quality desk chair for his actual back pain issues? Yes, definitely. Another collectible figure that would just sit on a shelf? Hard no. Pattern number 5 is the opportunity cost visualization gap. $174 for a gaming keyboard doesn't really feel real when you think about it. It's just numbers on a screen. But you know what actually does feel real? This keyboard costs 39% of my certification course. Or this costs 11 hours of my actual work time. Or this is 2 months of my gym membership. The problem isn't that we don't understand opportunity cost on an intellectual level. The real problem is we don't feel it emotionally in that actual moment when we're about to make the purchase. So Jack created what he called personal conversion metrics for himself. For him, $100 equals 5.8 hours of work after taxes. It equals 3.7% closer to being able to leave his current job. And it equals 10 hours of learning time on sites like Udemy. Now when he looks at that gaming keyboard, he asks himself different questions. Do I want this thing sitting on my desk more than I want 10 hours of my freedom back? Do I want this more than being 6.4% closer to career independence? Suddenly the answer isn't just clear. It becomes completely obvious. He didn't actually want the keyboard. He wanted what the money represented, and the keyboard was actively stealing that future from him. Pattern number 6 is the friction to purchase coefficient. That one-click buy button feature is basically evil genius when you think about it. Every single friction point that gets removed from the purchase process increases impulsive buying by approximately 15 to 30%. Think about how insanely easy it's become to buy things. You've got saved payment info already in there. Saved addresses so you don't have to type anything. Everything autofills for you. There's no checkout page, you just click once. Buy now, pay later options are everywhere you look. The path from mild interest in something to your money being completely gone is now 0.4 seconds. 0.4 seconds. So Jack decided to create strategic friction points in his buying process. He removed all saved payment methods from shopping apps on his phone because that's where 80% of his impulsive purchases happened. He kept his laptop for intentional shopping since he rarely used it for impulse buying. He set up spending alerts on his phone that notify him immediately after any purchase above $50. This created a psychological checkpoint where he'd see the notification and have to consciously acknowledge what he just did. And here's the really smart one. He created a separate bank account specifically for discretionary spending with a fixed monthly budget of $800. This account wasn't linked to any shopping apps or websites. So when he wanted to buy something impulsively, he'd have to manually transfer money from this account to his main account first. That transfer process takes about 2 minutes and requires him to open his banking app and confirm the amount. Those 2 minutes gave his prefrontal cortex, which is his logical brain, enough time to actually wake up and ask, wait, do I actually need this thing right now? The result? 73% reduction in impulsive purchases in just the first month. 73%. And that didn't come from willpower at all. It came purely from strategic friction that respected his time but protected his money. Pattern number 7 is the social proof susceptibility index. 4.5 stars from 12,847 reviews. Pro Gamer's Choice. 3,492 people viewing this right now. These things aren't just information being presented to you. These are psychological triggers that are specifically designed to exploit our herd mentality. But here's what changed everything for Jack. He realized that he was being compared to an algorithmic fiction. Those people viewing right now? A lot of times that's simulated and it's completely fake. Those reviews you're reading? Many of them are incentivized or they're straight up purchased. That Pro Gamer's Choice badge? That's just marketing and it's not based on reality. Jack rated his own susceptibility to different social proof triggers on a scale of 1 to 10. Star ratings, he scored himself an 8 out of 10. Bestseller badges, he gave himself a 9 out of 10. That X number of people bought this thing, he was an 8 out of 10. He was basically a sitting duck for manufactured social proof. His solution was pretty straightforward. He installed browser extensions that can analyze review authenticity. He enforced a 48-hour waiting period after first seeing any product that had social proof attached to it. And he would ask himself this question. Would I want this thing if it had 0 reviews and nobody would ever know that I bought it? For that gaming keyboard, the answer turned out to be no. He realized he wanted it because it looked like other gamers wanted it. Not because he actually did. Alright, so at this point Jack understood the why behind all of his impulsive buying. But just understanding something isn't enough, right? You need an actual system. Not willpower and not motivation, because those things run out. So he built what he calls the 4-gate system. It's basically 4 barriers that sit between his impulse and actually making the purchase. Let me walk you through how it works. Gate number 1 is the temporal barrier. You've probably heard of the 24-hour rule before. You see something you want and you wait 24 hours before buying it. Jack made this smarter by extending it to 48 hours. But here's where he added a twist that changes everything. He didn't just wait passively doing nothing. When he saw something he wanted, he would take a screenshot of it and save it in a folder he called Maybe Later. Then he'd set a calendar reminder for exactly 48 hours from that moment. And here's the crucial part that makes this actually work. In those 48 hours he had to use or engage with something he already owned that this new purchase would either upgrade or replace. So for that gaming keyboard he had to use his current keyboard for 48 hours straight and journal about what features he was actually missing. Turns out he wasn't missing any features at all. His current keyboard worked perfectly fine. He just wanted the new one because it had RGB lighting and it looked really cool. Once he realized that the desire just completely evaporated. The temporal barrier plus that engagement requirement killed 60% of his impulse purchases right there. 60% just from this one gate. Gate number 2 is the financial reality barrier. Before making any purchase, Jack forces himself to answer 3 specific questions. And I mean actually answer them by writing them down, because just thinking about it in your head doesn't count. Your brain is way too good at lying to itself. Question number 1 is the honest budget question. Can I afford this without touching money that's allocated to something else? Not can I afford this, period. Most of us can technically afford most things if we're willing to sacrifice something else. The real question is, can you afford it without any sacrifice? Question number 2 is the opportunity cost question. What am I trading this for? And he uses those personal conversion metrics we talked about earlier. For that gaming keyboard, it meant I'm trading 10 hours of freedom and 6.4% of progress toward career independence. When you phrase it like that, the decision becomes crystal clear. Question number 3 is the future self question. Will I be thanking my present self or cursing my present self in 3 months? Jack has to write all the answers down. This gate alone eliminated another 20% of his potential impulse purchases. Gate number 3 is the emotional audit barrier. Remember parameter number 1 about the emotional deficit index? This is where Jack addresses that directly. Before buying anything, he has to do 4 things. Number 1, rate his current emotional state from 1 to 10. Number 2, identify the specific emotion that's driving this purchase. Number 3, list 3 non-purchase ways to address that emotion. And number 4, try at least one of those alternatives first. The day he wanted that gaming keyboard, he was feeling frustrated and unaccomplished after a bug-filled workday. His 3 alternative solutions were: go for a 20-minute run, which is free. Work on a side project for 30 minutes, which is also free and actually productive. Or call his brother to catch up, which again is free. He chose option number 2. After spending 30 minutes working on code that he actually enjoyed, something interesting happened. He didn't want the keyboard anymore. The emotional need had been met. The keyboard was never the solution, it was just the most convenient distraction. This gate eliminated another 15% of impulse purchases. But more importantly, it helped Jack address the actual problems he was facing. Gate number 4 is the identity alignment barrier, and this is the final gate. Jack created an identity statement, which is basically a financial mission statement for himself. It goes like this. I am someone who prioritizes long-term freedom over short-term gratification. I invest in assets like skills and health and relationships in tools that compound over time. I don't rent happiness with money I haven't truly earned yet. Every single purchase has to pass through this filter. Does this purchase align with the person I'm becoming? That gaming keyboard failed this test immediately. The certification course passed. Quality running shoes for his actual fitness goals passed. Another gaming peripheral he didn't actually need failed. A weekend hiking trip with friends to create real memories passed. This wasn't about depriving himself of things. It was about alignment. This final gate eliminated the last 5% of impulse purchases that made it through the other 3 gates. If this video helped you at all, leave a comment below with your own gaming keyboard story. What's the purchase you're thinking about right now? What's the one you're glad you didn't make, or maybe the one you regret? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into personal finance that actually address the psychology behind money decisions, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.